please take it away.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Benjamin. So thank you for participating in 1455's second annual Summer Literary Festival. We hope you will help us spread awareness by sharing your impressions via social media, liking the 1455 Facebook page, and signing up for our newsletter. We also hope you'll dig deeper into the work of our authors. Their books are available for purchase via the links on the agenda page of the LitFest website. All purchases will be shipped directly to your door. 1455 is delighted to be partnering with the Potter's House on book sales this year. They're a nonprofit bookstore, cafe, and event space in Washington, D.C. with a deep history of social justice and community building. Learn more about their work at www.pottershousedc.org. Okay, without further ado, let me introduce our panelists and a reminder, we hope to make these sessions as interactive as possible. Use the chat room to submit questions and we'll do our best to answer them. So that is the welcoming speech. And so Katy, I'll turn it over to you for the intro.
Yes, hello everyone. I can't see you, which feels weird, but I know you're out there. So thank you so much for coming to our session. We're so excited to read some poems to you and talk to you a little bit about our group and sisterhood and how we came together. And it's my task to give you a little background on the Black Ladies Brunch Collective, BLBC. So our group formed in 2013-ish. And believe it or not, the reason behind our group was at first to have brunch, as our name suggests. We were a group of Black women poets living in the DC area, and we're just looking for some companionship in the writing world. And a few of us got together, had a rowdy brunch session, I would say, the first time. Saida and I were both there. And it evolved from there. We started having monthly meetings, and at one point we thought, one of our members, Celeste Stokes, came to us and said that a press was interested in doing possibly an anthology. And we thought, well, I guess we could do more than brunch. So we did write an anthology. You ladies probably have it, but I have it here, Not Without Our Laughter. And that sort of launched us into a different iteration of the group. We started doing readings, we've done some workshops, attended different conferences, and presented at panels. And these two ladies went to Ireland. I didn't get to go, I just had a baby, but and presented the work there. So our group has expanded, it's evolved, but it's been a really essential part of my writing life and personal life, which I'm sure we'll talk about more. So I think that's a pretty good, we'll say more, but that's a good introduction to BLBC, I think.
Yeah, no, that does it.
I didn't say our members' names. I'm sorry, I should have said that. So Anya Crichtney, you've met Teri and Saida, and Tafisha Edwards, and we have two former members, Celeste Stokes and
Nikki Hurd.
Nikki Hurd, thank you. Please don't tell her that I did that. And Nikki Hurd. So that our group has evolved and changed, but we have 5 current members.
So I wanted to give our bios, and ladies, after I give these bios, please feel free to chime in with updates. Saida Agostini is a queer Afro-Guyanese poet and social worker, a Cave Canem Fellow. Her work has appeared in several publications, including Pluck, the Afro-Latin Journal of Arts and Culture, Torch Literary Arts, Delaware Poetry Review, and Beltway Poetry Quarterly. She is currently she has finished her first collection, and it has a new title. So, Saida, do you want to give that update now really quick?
Oh yeah, sure. So my manuscript is finished and it's called Just Let the Dead In.
Yay. Okay. All right. All right. So Katy Richey, her work has appeared in Rattle, Cincinnati Review, Rhino, The Offing, and other journals. She received an honorable mention for the Cave Canem Poetry Prize and was a finalist for the Tupelo Press Snowbound Chapbook Poetry Award. She's a Cave Canem Fellow and uh, is an incredible teacher and a great mom. So,
Oh, thanks.
Katy, you have any updates?
No, I used to do Split This Rock, so I had to take that part out. But yeah, that's pretty much it, I'd say.
And then my name's Teri Ellen Cross Davis, another Cave Canem Fellow. Yeah, that happens. My work can be written in lots of anthologies and journals. My first collection, Haint, was published by Javal Press in 2016 and won the Ohioana Poetry Book Award. My second collection, A More Perfect Union, won the Ohio State University Journal Charles B. Willard Poetry Prize. It will be out in February 2021. And I just won the Poetry Society of America's Robert H. Winter Memorial Award. So there's that too. And I coordinate the O.B. Hardison Poetry Series for the Folder Shakespeare Library in Washington, D.C. And I have a website with my husband, a Cave Canem Fellow, kind of a trend here. And the website is www.poetsandparents.com. And Black Ladies Brunch Collective has a website, which is surprisingly enough, Black Ladies Brunch Collective. So, .com. Surprising. All right. So all the necessary things taken care of. So ladies, let's just kind of jump right in. I wanted to start with a question. And I pose it to the two of you. What has it meant to you to be in a collective?
Do you want to start, Katy, or you want me to go?
I could say a little bit and then you jump in. So I would say that just knowing that there are other folks out there that unequivocally have your back is one big plus. It's a strange world, this poetry world, literary world. It shouldn't be, but it is. Sometimes, and just having the ladies to talk to and bounce ideas off of has been invaluable, and just the love we give each other on all fronts, not just about our poetry world or our writing lives, but just the support we give each other in our personal lives too, which I don't know that we thought that that's what we were looking for at first, but it certainly is something that came about and has been, these are my sisters now, so.
Yeah, I will say, I think, what comes to mind is just, how boundless our imaginations can be when it comes to, not just supporting each other's, work and dreams, but, also, I think even in some cases being able to dream more than the person themselves. So I know for me, I suffer a lot from imposter syndrome, right? And I would say both of these women specifically have been no, that's trash. Just get over it. Get your work out there, and really, and it's beyond just saying it, but I think it's really kind of the practice of love as well, right? And I think that's something that we do really beautifully with each other. And then in turn, I would say it's made me more generous with other people because I know how impactful it's been for me. And then also just to be, I think there's some really strong loves that we have musically. I feel very strongly about Luther Vandross. I know there's some strong feelings in here about Prince, and being able to just have joy with each other, even in moments like this, where, basically it feels like an Octavia Butler finale novel is really important and life-saving on a lot of levels.
No, I'd say I actually had put it out in the universe that I wanted more fellowship with other Black women. And then this happened. And then I was invited to join the collective. And Katy, I had known Katy way longer, right? I think I've known you, Katy, the longest out of everybody. But then coming in and getting to know everybody, getting to know Saida, getting to know Tafisha, getting to know Celeste, getting to know Anya, and the fact even that Anya and I work like literally a block from one another. And it gave me everything I put out in the universe to ask for and more. And it just to have you guys, and what I also loved is I can unequivocally be myself. And like, there's so many alignments of who we are that cross over, so a lot of the experiences I've had, I realized weren't just happening to me, but they were happening to other Black women in poetry, and they were happening to other Black women. So it's so beautiful to have that kind of fellowship, to have that kind of camaraderie, to have that kind of relationship with you all, where I can say the craziest of things, and you all know that I can be about my business, but I also have some weird streaks that just go wherever. And that I appreciate you all allowing me to express all that. So it's been a lot to me. It has been like a lifeblood. And especially now, even during the pandemic, the ways that we've gotten together and just touching base, seeing each other, it's really meant a lot. So yeah. So with that said, we are going to do some round robins. We have 3 rounds, and the round robin, in case anyone doesn't know, is where you kind of share, like each person shares a poem at a time, and we just kind of go in a circle. So I wanted to get started with, so let's get started with the poetry. Yay, not without our laughter. So Katy, it will be Katy, Saida, myself, and then back to you, Katy.
I just realized that, how did I miss this? That we're starting with a poem about my vagina. I didn't anticipate that we would start that way, but
gotta start strong. Gotta start
exactly.
strong.
Start strong.
I think that's the first time I've said the word vagina on Zoom, and it feels good. I hope it's not the last time I get to say that. So yes, I think the only thing you probably do need to know about this poem is that it is about my vagina. Manifesto of a born-again internal organ. It's not that this is a repression. Being the vagina isn't as restrictive as it might seem. I'm not unaware of my obligations. I'm the muscle, security, custodian of entrances and exits. I don't feel suffocated exactly, but sleeping naked on weekends just isn't enough anymore. Everyone says I should take a vacation, travel, see Paris. I'd be happy just to smell the freshly fallen leaves in the backyard, gaze my eye on the sun's red mouth as it sets behind the neighbor's roof. Don't misconstrue this statement as discontent. See it more as an airing or disclosure of disenchantment. It's not that I haven't had suitors, some gentleman, some scoundrel, but all with a certain lure, an appeal masking proclivities. I have felt loved, even honored, but when I say no more bartenders, I have to mean it this time. I need to feel this merging is more than an assembly of parts, that however brief the suspension of disbelief, afterwards, I take some of it with me. I am still certain of many things, like love and that menstrual pads shouldn't also be underwear. Thongs are tortures created by the devil. That hasn't changed. But I'm beginning to recognize intention, to see creativity in invention. I don't have to participate to appreciate. It isn't that I'm unsatisfied, but I've heard some see heaven. All I've ever seen is myself. I have seen my loveliness. Even in darkness, there's a shimmering phosphorescence in the water. I need to be more than beautiful, more than an idol, adornment, a served purpose. I want to hear my own name, not the myriad of nicknames reflecting only my sweetness or bitterness or cavernous. Vagina. I want to hear it with the same favor one might say God or Madam President. It isn't that I'm ungrateful. I just feel something else is coming.
Mm.
Saida.
I love that poem.
I know. I know. It's the God in her, right?
Mm.
Yes. Yes.
So I'll be reading one of the few love poems I have, or romantic love poems, I should say. I think a lot of my poems are love poems, and it's called What It Takes to Breathe. I have snored so loud, I made friends weep for my next breath. Swear there is a whole carnival alive in my chest, aching beyond ribcage to where my heart lay smothered in veins and fat. The swollen lungs seated, a fearful and ready king above it all, gasping for a new swallow of breath to crown its life. Imagine all this machinery just to breathe. The whole map of an exquisite monarchy, drawn and refinished every time my lungs expand. Truly, there should be royal balls and prince singing adore each time I wake. Everything alive and green, the whole world thronging in, ready with applause. I am foolish and tired and cannot help but blush at the strangest things, like the dawn of your eyes greeting mine. Imagine all this machinery just to love.
Yay. Yay. Thank you, Saida. Okay, so I'm going to drop several bombs here, some curse bombs, some N bombs. So I just want to prepare you all. This is called Shit Ain't Never Simple. I believe that what doesn't kill you had better make you stronger. I believe that strength ain't necessarily seen from the outside. I believe violence is rarely the answer, but some people deserve a good ass whooping. I believe there should be a department for peace. I believe that no person has the power to break you unless you give up that power. I believe love is about knowing when to break down the barriers you put up for the rest of the knuckle-headed hard legs. I believe that a lady should know how to curse properly. I believe that a lady should know how to get into a car in a short skirt. I believe in guys opening car doors. I believe a woman should know how to drive stick. I believe in nigger beaters. I believe there is a difference between niggas and black folks. I believe you should keep a little of that crazy nigga inside you for special occasions. I believe in table manners. I believe in dinner in front of the TV and by candlelight. I believe in chopping wood for real fires. I believe in axes over a gun any day. I believe in getting dirt literally under your nails. I believe that trying to figure out who you are is a worthy life ambition. I believe one monkey don't stop no show. I believe crying over a book means it was a good book. I believe you mess with my kids, you mess with me. I believe in waiting to the last minute. I believe in the power of revision. I believe that there will still be something left of me on the page before I die.
I'm very sorry, but you are going to hear my cat meowing behind me. Not much I could do about it. That's just his thing. Um, so I'm going to read now a poem that's also in the collection from another one of our collective mates, Anya Crateney. So one thing to know is that what we did with the anthology is we wrote a poem in response to another collective mate's poem. Each one of us chose a poem of the other and wrote a response poem, which is also published in the anthology. So this is Anya's response poem to a poem by Tafisha. So Anya's poem is called, actually Tafisha and Celeste, is called Kamal and Bibi, and it's after A Harley Dream, which Celeste wrote, and Baby What That Mouth Do, which Tafisha wrote. So this is called Kamal and Bibi. Desire is a wild boundary, like a ludicrous or endangered animal, platypus or kookaburra. And all words sound sexual, especially calvados, which is with its bestial root center, or mammal with its mouth full of meat. So it's not a tad surprising that a woman called Bibi loves someone named Kamal, each on all fours, mooing rhythmically, mooing percussively into the air. Together, their ravenous laughter is winding similacs. And isn't it funny to feel so vulnerable, so wild, undressing, when vulnerability is partly the point? The paradox, an unforgettable addition, like a blade of light in what was once a dark house. And soon, Bibi will know if Kamal's hip sings as a violin or piccolo. Ines really likes that poem.
Well, and thank you, Katy. There are so many wonderful things that Anya does in there. I love that bestial root. I love how she breaks down the language in the poem. You know, it's like a meta moment kind of in the poem. All right, so I had a second question for us, but I kind of feel like we kind of answered it with the first one, but I'll pose it anyway. And that was, what does it do for you to have the emotional support of the collective, you know, of a collective?
Well, one thing that I thought about with that is just how as soon as really the virtual world of the pandemic hit us, when people were really starting to really exist on Zoom, we immediately started meeting weekly. Like, I mean, it just naturally happened. It was like there was so much to unpack about what's happening now. And it was just natural that we reached out to each other. And I'm not sure that's something that I realized that we had. I mean, I did, and I didn't. I guess I didn't appreciate the depth of it. And yeah, so it's been really important, and I appreciate it to have you all to talk to during this time. And how that it goes to different topics and different like it still comes back to writing. I know we've been talking a lot about, you know, that we like drink champagne and like, you know, talk about Luther Vandross and argue about which Prince song is the best, and that's all true. But to be able to support each other in wherever we're going in terms of our work and how the current moment is affecting our work, and supporting each other through whatever that means. I mean, for me personally, it's been a lessening of work. I haven't done as much writing, but I feel like the group is still so supportive of that place that I happen to be in. And whatever I need to hear about that, like whether I need the space to say, it's okay that I'm not writing a poem every day right now, or, you know, it will come back. You know, Teri saying, you got a 3-year-old, it'll come back. Don't worry. Right now there are other things. So yeah.
Yeah, I think Katy said something that really struck me. It's true. Like we saw each other out like right after, like, you know, it felt like the world closed down. You know, and that's important, right? Like I think we've all, like, whether virtually or in person, pre-pandemic, right? Like we've always like have like showed up for each other, and I think that's like meant a lot, you know. So whether or not that's like going to someone's wedding or like someone's graduation, actually I'm thinking of the same person for those two things. You know, or like just coming to a reading, like I feel like we show up, and however we show up, it's like celebrated and honored, right? So we're all doing what we can. And I think that's like a really beautiful thing, like to be able to be like, I know I can turn to like these group of women and like get what I need, right? Or at least know that trust in like whatever is being offered, and know it's being offered with like a whole heart, right? And that's not something that I think we always can get. So it's something I deeply value, and it's been really important.
No, for me, and I'm going to try and say this without like tearing up or anything. It is meant that when it's times that I felt that I've emotionally fallen down, that you guys have just been there to help me get back up, and that's meant a lot to me. Um, yeah, that's meant a lot, and yeah, so that's that kind of emotional support. It makes you feel as if you can screw up and that you'll still be loved, you know, and that's important. Like, or when you screw up, someone else like, no, hey, it's not the end of the world. It'll, you know, move on. And then when you have good things happen, it's nice to have you guys there and just the support that you all give, and kind of the reality checks. Because I too, I get that imposter syndrome. And like, what is happening? And you're all like, no, this is good. So that has been really helpful. And as I was listening to you all talk, I wanted to say to the people who have joined that you too can start your own collective. And for a while, that had been like one of the things we talked about, was like trying to go to other places and kind of help other people get started, like especially Black women, because so often, you know, and when Black women are free, everybody's free. So we're just trying to get that liberation out there. So just to say, if you find yourself in a city or an area and you're looking for that kind of support that you hear us talking about, you can find your people and make your own collective. So, okay, let's head to round two. One of the things I will say very quickly is I love about this anthology is something we talked about other times, and that is it addresses mental health. And I think so often that's something that gets shuttered and closeted in the Black community. And especially now during this pandemic, it's something that needs to be outed, and we need to have more conversations because some of us are not doing well in this time, and some of us need more help than others, and we shouldn't be afraid to call for that help. So round two, Katy Richey, you're up.
Yes. And I can, Ines, go away. I can, I want to piggyback on that to say that finding community, whether it's a collective or a writing group or not, but finding community, I think, is essential in this work. And yes, for our collective, there is an allowance of vulnerability, which particularly for women of color and specifically Black women, I think is something that is not offered us often, that we are allowed to be vulnerable. We are strong and we will persevere, and all of that is true. It's not that we are not, but there's a difference, I think, between being vulnerable doesn't mean being weak, and I think that's a misconception. And so I write a lot about mental health and try to be open about my own mental health, and it feels important specifically for Black women because it's not something we're afforded. It is, like I said, it's considered a weakness. And I think that us being sort of not allowed to be vulnerable creates more vulnerability. It creates opportunity for us to be abused more. The thought that Black women are just, pillars of strength means that we can't be harmed. And so we are harmed. It feels important in this work to talk very plainly about that. So I usually say, my name is Katy Richey and I'm a major depressive. Can everybody say hi, Katy? But you can't say hi, Katy. So maybe in the chat you could say hi, Katy, because I feel like that, that helps me anyway, feel like I can be open about it. So this poem is a little silly, but not a silly subject, and something that I certainly deal with every day. So again, we wrote response poems. Not the whole anthology is response poems, but we did write response poems. And this poem is a response to Anya's poem, which begins the collection. Her poem is called Leaving the House. And this poem in response to that poem is called Depression Insists We Stay In. There's not a single thing in your closet that should be worn after 1997. You do look fat in those pants. Probably gained 20 pounds in the last 30 minutes. There's no parking within 10 blocks of the party. All the people you hate are already there. They're miserable too, but tonight you won't be able to tell. They'll have green string tied around their middle fingers, and you're supposed to know why. There will be 22 words spoken you don't know the meaning of. You will end all of your sentences with prepositions. People will notice. People will laugh. You don't know, sorry. All your friends will ask if you're okay. Remark that you're always so down to earth. This will remind you that the entire world lies. You'll think about Lance Armstrong and Milli Vanilli and your best friend who made out with your very first boyfriend while you were home with strep. You slept with his leather jacket, had to wash the snot drool tear stains in the sink. You loved John Hughes movies. If you stay, you can watch The Breakfast Club for the 57th time. Pinky swear you won't think about self-harm. Swear you won't imagine all the ways this could end. Think of the relationships you neglect by leaving, the inanimate objects to be moved and then replaced right back where they were, the 2 Oreo cookies left in the package to reassure you didn't eat them all at once. Think about the floor in the bathroom, how much more sense things make lying with your bare back on the tile. This is you. You are the plate and the half-eaten sandwich. You are the pile of laundry. Don't forget how Barney the purple dinosaur meaningless it is out there. This stain on the carpet is you. These unread books, you. Don't forget you.
Oh, that's me. Okay.
I love that poem.
I know, me too. And there's a question we have later, and I have to come back to that poem to answer it. Okay, so next in the round robin, we have Tafisha Edwards' poem, Husbands. There's some F-bombs being dropped in this poem, so, gird your ears.
Girl, we all grown.
I know, right?
I'm telling everybody to cover their ears.
I know, right? Okay, Husbands by Tafisha Edwards. What if the woman whose husband I want to fuck cuts my throat and glitter rushes out over her hands, a sea of shine? And what if the husband I want to fuck stands next to the woman who holds the knife covered in glitter and says nothing about the soft fit, fit, fit that is minuscule pieces of plastic, trillions of pieces of plastic bounding out of my cut, carotid artery, like children loose after 8 hours of cramming their torsos under desks at the threat of a bomb or a gun or the bomb, not high on sugar salt sun, but on amphetamines and the elasticity of their own legs? What if the husband of the woman who washes the glitter off of her hands only touched me once? And it wasn't a touch, it was a hug. And it didn't really last that long because the husband in question is not a wolf, and he loves the woman he calls his wife. And I need him to be a good man. And he needs to be a good man too, because we fucked up talking about God. And now there's a guilt that makes it fun, except he really does believe in God and really wants to lick every molar in the roller rink of my mouth. What if they bury me under the jungle gym of a birch tree? What if the slitting of my throat is a team-building exercise, and when someone that could only be him taps my shoulder to hide the oncoming edge of shine, I shiver like light volleying off a disco ball? And yes, that felt a bit random, but let's run with it, because that is what wanting a married man is. One after-school sugar rush dash. What if I am trouble? I mean, what if I am bad news? And the wanting of a married man is a vitamin deficiency I have no interest in curing.
First of all, the first line of that poem,
I know.
all the time, every single time I hear it, I'm just like, Tafisha.
Right. Like,
Love
just
that
go
poem.
out. Just let it all out. Just go on out with it.
Yeah.
Don't hide back. Love it. Love it for that.
I just always love that line. We fucked up when we started talking about God. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, we all know.
Yeah.
I know. Look. No, my line is that the whole, and I think of this line all the time now, really wants to lick every molar in the roller rink of my mouth. I was like, oh.
So he's thorough. He's thorough. He does his job.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Teri, why am I not surprised? Teri is like the sex ed teacher of our group,
No, I know.
always making sure we are using the correct terminology.
That's what I'm here for. Okay.
So I'm going to move forward unless I jump the order again. What's hilarious is I made this order and now I'm confused about it, but I just I consulted the screen and I think it's time for me. So this is actually one of the call and response poems that we wrote. So I wrote the call and then Teri's going to read the response. This all started because I started making people in history queer. I don't really care whether or not they are. I feel like a right of a poet is to lie and lie regularly, and it's art. And I feel really strongly that if I keep continuing this way, then the things I say will just be true and it'll be added to Wikipedia, which is, as we know, the authority for all things. So we're going to go with that. This is an act of Black queer liberation. And the name of this poem is Harriet Tubman is a Lesbian, because I like to be subtle. Pass the word on. So here we go. Oh, and there's a lot of profanity, sex, and Prince and Luther. Thanks. Okay. Jabari says, fuck that. Harriet wasn't trying to turn the underground into Henrietta's. But shit, I need a hero, a full-on Black queer woman setting fire to slave ships, cursing out white motherfuckers, and going home to love on Phyllis Hyman's fine-ass great-great-granny. I want a history where Harriet and Sojourner got together and made cataclysmic, head-banging, good God kind of love while Luther serenades them, with skin so shining it looks like he just swam all up in Johnson's and Johnson's to get there. I want him singing to them. His sequin blazer, the North Star, they follow hand in hand under the cover of knotted trees and vines rising up to hide them, the glow of lightning bugs, grasshoppers humming as Luther executes a smooth two-step to Wait for Love, Prince behind him, humping the stage. In that moment, when Sojourner bends down, cups her hands, dips them into a running creek and says, "Come on, Harriet, drink," watches the soft pulse and bend of her woman's neck as she feeds sweet water from her palm, and she thinks, someday I'll make me a poem about how I love her. I think that night would have been the first time they found the salt to kiss. During intermission, while Luther reapplies his eyeliner and Prince takes over the mic crooning, "Baby, baby, baby, what's it gonna be tonight?" Sojourner and Harriet latching on to each other's bodies, sucking nipples like they deliver honeyed wine, hollering a blue joyful streak in answer to Prince over and over again.
Yay. I know. I always feel like I should start singing Luther Vandross in the middle of that poem. Wait for love. I just always feel that urge. So I'm just letting you know that.
That's one of my favorite poems to visualize as you read it.
I know.
Right? I'm why has this not been made a movie?
It should be.
It should be.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. So in that whole kind of response, that was the call. My response was this poem, Knowledge of the Brown Body, after Harriet Tubman is a lesbian. If Harriet Tubman had been a lesbian, I would know the brown body had been valued outside of chattel to the point of risk. I would know an ebony nipple spoke its hushed volumes from inside another sweet brown mouth, eager to know its secrets. I would know a brown belly had been showered with a free tongue's pulsing intention. I would know the brown hips of a woman were stolen back for freedom's sake. I would know that brown thighs thunder was enough to make a woman walk into the abyss of the deep south and come out clapping on fire with Black love. I would know that this body I own had once been coveted for its sake and its sake alone. How sacred I could hold that knowledge. I could palm it, my fingers deep inside the agent that helped break the back of the Confederacy. All right. So I have one more question. But there's also part of me is like, oh, let's look at the time. I think we have like 10 more minutes. So I think it's better if we just skip that question, as much as I do want to answer it, and just go to our final round on 2 poems on joy and revolution, because I do want to end it on notes of joy and revolution, because I'm here for the revolution. And we came up with this. We had an order, and that order.
I think it's me, although joy, I don't, depressive, I don't know.
Like, I don't know about joy.
So I do the best I can, but so this is not a joyful poem, sorry. But maybe revolution, maybe it fits there. So this poem, I actually wrote a while ago, but it could have been written recently too, unfortunately. This is called This Is How I Will Mourn. And I'm going to make it bigger and stop pretending like I can see. Because I don't know where my glasses are. Okay. I'm doing that, I lost it.
Katie, you lost your glasses in your own house?
I mean, are we surprised by that? I feel
no,
like
I'm going to tell you, kindred spirits, I've lost a book in my own house that I need and that I actually had to ask for again because it's somewhere in my house and I don't know.
All right, but have you lost your keys and they were in your bra? Because that happens way too much.
I can't say I
admitted that to all you people. All right. This is how I will mourn. Last night, blocks from your home, a bullet pierced a window, spiraled its way into another bedroom, and slept in an undeserving skull. Tore its way through one life and then hundreds more. But no matter the graduation photo or the people who take to the streets or the innocence or the aberrant ways of death, they will tell us we've done it to ourselves. Last night, you and I made a mess of love, took turns belting against the glass coffer of each other's dread until we were covered in crystal, sweat out our indignations until all there was left was sleep. We have tried to do it to ourselves, but we cannot disavow our skin. What happens when you're on a computer? We cannot disavow our skin from its place against one another, how easily we are misunderstood by the misdirection of our limbs, sprawled away from and under and across our heat-heavy skin. Blocks from your home, the streets are burning. If they are coming, let them come. If our skin's earth blush has again wet their tongues, let them find us here, chaotic, sleeping in this convection of love. Look at what we've done.
Well, damn.
Yeah, I know. Yes, Katie.
You can't hear me. A little something, a little.
Hello.
The collar.
You're like this
subject, but sometimes it brings out the.
Yes.
So I, for my first manuscript, I wrote a series of poems, like looking at mythological figures from Guyana, which in South America, not Ghana, in West Africa. Also lovely country, not the one I'm talking about. My family's from there, and I was just always really fascinated with the myths that we've been told, and also doing kind of a remix or retelling, if you will. And so the Old Haig is a mythological character who's seen as a crone. So like usually it's supposed to be an old woman with a hunchback who leaves her skin at night and goes flying over water. Nothing major. So this poem is called The Old Hag Goes Hunting. Legend holds that I'm ugly and stooped, covered in frightful disdain. But rather, I glory in my own sight. Naked black wrinkled flesh, breasts low-hanging ripe fruit, my sex a shining damp shell. At nights while you slumber, I go flying, crowned in blue fire above the Mahaika, my skin left sleeping in bed. There are those who would argue my midnight visits spur madness, report of women who cut machetes as they would my breasts and do a violence to their men. I say, the taste of me intoxicates, bewitches my beloveds to cut what keeps them tethered and sighing, toiling in heat for a man that does no good. In truth, this way is no easier. Boys spread white salt and rice and strict lines to bar me from my own skin. My beloveds shy with fear when they first see me. But then I reach out my hand, hold them to my chest, and sing the history of old Black women digging and crafting this ancient earth into consciousness. I say, this is yours, take it. And they come shuddering with power.
I love it. So, okay. We had a question before I read this, and the question was, Amazon's down to 2 copies of Not Without Our Laughter. Where can someone get Not Without Our Laughter? We can, in Mason Jar Press, right? You can order directly from Mason Jar Press, but this person said, where can I get it so we can get it signed? So I would say, email us and we can sign it because we have copies and we can sign it and send it. I think we can do that. Yeah, you're muted, Saida.
Yeah, I think we could. I wonder how we would all get it signed.
I know.
Whatever, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
But get in touch with us. We have a website. Get in touch with us and we can make it happen. Right. So I'll read this poem suggests revolution. F it. Let's do it. All right. This poem suggests revolution. This poem no longer consents to play mammy or to wet nurse a seething rage at her own black teat. America, your teeth have come in. You nip too much. This poem refuses to play religion. A Bible verse will not absolve you, America. If the pursuit of happiness, life, and liberty came from the Creator, she is about ready to backhand you in the face. This poem will not be your bottom bitch, America. This poem does not consent to blackness being window dressing for the diversity brochure of a country where the board of directors never changed. This poem reads the fine print on you, America. This poem consents to be black ink, a clenched fist, pepper spray, and black souls marching on asphalt, freedom for and from you, America. If need be, this poem consents to double as witness, the dotted I in the missing reparations decree. Until then, let this poem heckle you, America. Let it yell, "Goddamn, U.S., choke on cotton," while fanning itself and the flames. Understand this poem doesn't want to be bloodthirsty. It would rather write about the cleanse of a cloudburst than the vengeful force of a water hose. In truth, this poem courts hope. Like a Volta, it wants to turn the page, writing, "America, let us pen a new document. Not a perpetual union, but a chokehold removed, as a black throat breathing freely is a self-evident truth. Let these lines be facts submitted to a candid world, and this poem, when spoken or read, let it alter, let it abolish you." So we have 11 minutes technically.
Yeah.
And we've got questions. So I think we should maybe forfeit the last round and answer some of the questions.
Right.
What do you think, Teri? Yeah.
Right. Yes.
I'm not sure how that will work. Can people get unmuted, or do we in the question and answer box? I don't know.
I know. Well,
the question answer is a possibility, but if you do want somebody to be unmuted, you can ask and I can unmute them. Just like if they're raising their hand, I can allow them to talk.
Yeah, could we do that, Benjamin? Would that be
Yeah,
okay?
sure. Is there anyone in particular you'd like to start up with?
I just see at the top, it's Lewis has
All right.
their hand up.
I'll allow Lewis to. Oh, no, no, never mind.
Oh, no, goodbye, Lewis. Kim Green?
It looks like they're actually ones that are performing next, apparently.
Oh, okay. Got it.
But you do have a question in the Q&A.
Mm-hmm. And that
I
was.
think
Go ahead. What was that?
Oh no, I felt all special, but it's okay. We can ask each other questions.
Well, then I'll go back to my last question. And I know we need to wrap up very soon. But the last question I had was, what impact, if any, has taking part in BLBC had on your own work as a poet? So.
Mm-hmm. I would say for me, it's been pretty tremendous. Like, never would I have imagined that, like, I would go to another country, let alone Ireland, you know, to do readings and share my work. I mean, I'm also now, fingers crossed, just waiting to finalize a deal for publication for my first manuscript.
Yeah.
And also I'm coming out with a chapbook in the fall. And I don't think I feel like being in this group and like having the support of these women to kind of think beyond what I was doing. Because I think before it, I just saw it as like a hobby, right? As opposed to like, oh, people need to hear my voice, or I need people to hear it, right? Or my voice has value. So just even that confidence to like go after things that before I would have been like, no, I can't do that. And now being like, no, fuck that, I will. That's been really important.
I think one thing that came to mind is that it's allowed me to be comfortable with the variety of ways to be a Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. That there are, you know, Black womanhood is so expansive, and we are all so different and unique, and that has helped me sort of appreciate my own Black womanhood and be confident in expressing it.
Yeah, I know. I agree with both of those things, and that's definitely been the case for me. And I know creatively, it has allowed me to push my own boundaries and to try out new things. Hearing what you all do in your work inspires me to be a better poet. And that means a lot to me to kind of have people who are breaking ground in different ways and talking about things I would never think to talk about. And yeah, and just seeing how well you all do it, the finesse, the skill that you show in it, and the fearlessness that you all show is inspiring. And that helps me as a mother, as a woman, as a wife, as a sister, aunt, poet, daughter, all the roles, all the identities I occupy. It's been really, really beautiful to see that kind of spill over from not just the creative rounds, but also in all of my life. So, okay. All right. And yeah.
We might be able to do the last round if my poem's short.
Go for it.
What, 6 minutes?
I know. 6 minutes. 6 minutes.
All right. So Dougie pressure on. So this poem is in Ghost Fishing and Eco Justice Anthology. And it's another mental health poem. It's called Recovery. In my garden, an uprising has begun. I dig on my knees. I fill my hands with earth, search for root. I excise them, but in the morning, they rise again. I visit the stores, I call my mother, and finally resort to prayer. But nothing works. I continue to throw their wilted stems on the concrete. Then one afternoon, I see loveliness. First, the crabgrass, the cavalry. Next, the dreadlocked broadleaf plantain and the horse nettle, the pepperweed florets, dandelion, white clover, hairy bittercress, and the bull thistle, so woolly and brazen its had laws passed against it. I almost want to let them have the field, to watch them take it overnight, take every inch of space in the grass. The doctor told me it would be this way. I would wake to noxious mornings. Find some peace in the process, she said. She didn't tell me. At night, I would dream of growing.
Mm. So this is a poem from my first manuscript, Just Let the Dead In, and it's called I Write of My Mother in the Book of Joy. Most evenings finds Mummy pacing down cooling paths in a blaze of blossoms. Nothing that lived in Guyana can be nursed here. So instead, her resistance is found in the bud of hydrangeas, gladiolas, and a love of hummingbirds. The most common of flowers will be tended. During the summer, she glories in the rightness of blooming, dedicating hours to pulling errant weeds that choke the root. Even in winter, she is pledged to nursing life in the bitterest of Maryland snow. Think on the 4 lime trees sheltering in our house by the dining table, forcing my blustering father to cower at least for a short while in its branches. Neighbors come by to exclaim at the impossible orchard reared among wood-planked walls. My mummy, the stubborn farmer, laughing proudly by its fruit. Requests for advice are returned with exacting directions on wind, sun, and timing. When my sister and I hear her, what we think of are 2 little girls reared less gently than this. Her, a young, lonely mother with sometimes brittle hands. But here I am, crying at the lesson of her bowed back in the garden, those hands dug into a mire of dirt, stubbornly willing love into life.
Ah, lovely. I love how florid your worlds are. So thinking of that, I'll end it very quickly with this last poem. Something back to Katie said. This is called Ode to Orgasms, because orgasms need an ode. Okay. Ode to Orgasms. When the wild abandonment of pleasure calls, trilling its glorious song, you surrender. Forget yourself, respond in kind, moaning an ecstatic ode to the rivers of flesh, the delta, the well-plowed field. This back-arching work results in trembling limbs, shuddering, simpering joy. Not all is submission. You sought this treasured bird, whether in sun-dappled beds, Sutton on a Saturday while children frolic a floor below, or on a sodden tree trunk in the aftermath of a February's record-breaking snow. Be it a quick tryst in a hotel stairwell, desire domineering a long drive, you committed, flung open the shutters of propriety to pursue this elusive creature. Now grasp its golden tail feathers, leap from mountaintop to mountaintop, gulp that sweet, sweet fleeting air. Okay. All right, ladies, this has been wonderful as always.
Yes.
Yay.
Thank you, everyone.
This has been beautiful. Thank you.
Listening.
And I'll end it with this. Thanks so much for joining us today. Reminder, all the programming is free, so attend any and all other panels of your choosing, and we will be putting videos of each session on our website. We will be sending out e-surveys after the event. We welcome your feedback. And finally, while we have endeavored to make this entire event free to everyone, it's not free to produce. If you like what you're experiencing and want to help us subsidize this and future events, please consider a tax-deductible donation via 1455litarts.org. Every penny will help 1455 continue providing awesome, inclusive, and free programs. So thank you all. Thank you.